Hello, lovely people. Welcome to this week's blog. So, it is, of course, the final blog before A Collision of Catastrophes. Gobbelino London's seventh and final book comes out on Friday, which I am so excited to share with you. My amazing advanced readers have already been putting reviews up, and so far people seem to be enjoying it, so that's good. Hopefully we shall keep that up. And obviously I'm immensely organised. Obviously, yes, because I've just spent 2 weeks in the UK, or rather driving up and driving back down with a car full of all my boxes of worldly possessions, and about 1,000 bags of tea, because every time I went into a shop I sort of went, oh, just, I'm here, I'll just buy a bit more tea because it's easier than ordering it online. And one of those times I picked them up, it happened to be one of the really massive 600 bags. So yes, I have a lot of tea now. But that's good. You can't have too much tea. Utterly impossible. The only regretful omission on that was that I couldn't bring any dark chocolate digestives back with me because it is roasting down in France. Not as bad as a lot of southern Europe, but it is very warm here. And I'd already made the mistake on the way up of taking chocolate with me to give as presents, and yeah, that did not end well. 40 odd degree heat and chocolate in a car that's not ideal. Anyway, chocolate and tea aside, I shared with you on the blog over the last couple of weeks, chapter 1 and chapter 2 of A Collision of Catastrophes. So if you want to sort of a sneak peek at the book, you can go and read those now. And then, as many of you know, I tend to do short stories to go along with each book. And so I thought, great, I'll share one of those. And then I realised they are all completely full of spoilers, so I couldn't possibly do that, which meant the only solution was to write another short story. So I did. And I'm going to share that with you today. And this one has no spoilers, and takes place a bit before A Collision of Catastrophes. So here we go. And please excuse my dodgy reading aloud, and I can't do voices, so I hope that you can figure out who's talking. So, the wolf moved slow and silent through the long grass of the field, the frosty edges of the tall weeds catching on her coat and the dim, city-stained stars reflected in her eyes. A thin scraping of a moon hung above her, and the night was windless, painted in shades of variegated grey, duller than the picture etched and sent. A family of shrews sleeping over there, and a fox had run here, ignoring the shrews in its pursuit of... The words escaped her, thoughts blurring to images and concepts. Grey, soft, feathered down, heat. Pigeon? No, that wasn't it. She dismissed it. It was unimportant. The fox was unimportant. The shrews were unimportant, too small to bother with even if she had been hungry. Brown, soft, quick crunch, heart. Her ears twitched and her tongue lolled abruptly, head swinging in the direction of the whisper of movement on the edges of the field. Wait, no. She wasn't here for brown, round, panicky, quick, soft rabbits. She was here for her own, other wolves, the missing members of her pack. Their scents were light on the currents of the night, but she'd seen their car turn up the track, because sometimes she followed with her human feet as well as her wolf paws. Well, human car. Wheels? She shook her head slightly, dismissing rabbits and the consideration of words. Wolf brain hooked on strange connections at times. But the track stopped not far ahead, so the missing wolves couldn't have driven out the other end, and they hadn't come back down, which meant they must have left the car and were probably running. Fleet shore paws on wild, cold ground, laying their strange and glorious two-formed nature before the shimmering skies. And she hadn't authorised it. Not here, not now. Her teeth showed as her snout wrinkled in a light snarl, and she broke into a slow, easy lope, carving a path through the thick hide of the grass like a shark through still waters. No one should be running just anywhere. The times were fraught, fragile. Old alliances bloomed and shattered, and wolves were tempted by treacherous promises. She knew some of her pack wore two faces as well as two natures, and others had left the pack entirely. Those at least she understood. They took their loyalty elsewhere, and that was their choice, even if it was a poor one. But these two surprised her. This was unexpected of them, and unexpected was unwelcome right now. And what was this place? There were curious scents on the fence posts and charms she didn't recognise, set to keep out the eyes of the curious. Not much could hide from a wolf's nose, of course, but she had yet to discover what the charms sought to conceal. Whatever it might be, wolves had no business here. There wasn't anywhere that seemed safe for running. She had leaped the fence without so much as a prickle that suggested anyone was monitoring the charms, so she doubted their strength to hide a wolf. Plus whoever, whatever, had set them had done so for their own reasons, and others rarely took kindly to wolves on their land. To wolves anywhere, for that matter. She caught a whiff of a grey, big, round, sharp hoof. Horse? No, too sleepy, yet too edged with consideration. Donkey. What were her wolves doing running around with a donkey? Not hunting the bloody thing, surely. There was no sport in donkeys. The scent was coming from beyond a stand of trees, and she angled towards it, her ears pricking as she heard a sound she couldn't quite place. A clatter-bang that might have been a pail falling, or a shovel, or a gate shutting. A gate? Had her wolves been penned in? Captured? Her teeth showed more at the thought, starlight turning them to glossy icicles. Her hackles came up and her head dropped down and she stalked forward, ears twitching with every small night sound, snout wrinkling as she cast for the scents of her wolves. Beyond the trees was a barn that had been doing its best to crumble quietly to ruins. It had been thwarted in its efforts by repairs of dubious structural integrity. Gaps in the walls patched with sheets of plywood that still had the sharp steel scent of woodcutters and chemical treatments on them. Old plants and bits of fallen trees leaned against the new additions, offering camouflage to the eyes, if not the nose. The roof looked untouched from here, but the wolf was sure there would be more wood inside. No one patched walls without patching ceilings. She stopped her slow advance, trying to smell beyond the new wood to catch a scent of wolf or fury, but there was nothing. She couldn't even smell the donkey anymore. There was just the still, silent barn with its ominous repairs, huddled in the shadows. Deep in these fields, hidden beyond the trees, she doubted anyone but a wolf would have noticed that the building was anything more than a ruin. A noise startled her, and she dropped lower in the long growth of nettles and nameless grasses. Car. Her wolves? No, it was larger. The slow rumble of a heavy engine, taking its time over the rough track, flooding the night with hot grease, burnt oil, old rubber stench. She glanced around, but she was as hidden here as she could be, so she merely went back to watching the truck as it crept into view around the fields, its headlights off. Interesting. Her wolves, though. They could be trapped by this truck. There was no time for interesting. She looked around again, searching for their car, but she couldn't see it. Maybe on the other side of the barn? But she couldn't move now. The truck was already too close, and who knew what was inside? Maybe humans, in which case she could lope right past them and they'd probably barely see her. But maybe it would be others, quick to see in the night. No, she'd wait. When the newcomers had gone, she could resume her search. And if her wolves were inside the barn, somehow trapped, then she would have answers of these truck people. Answers, and blood if that was what it took. The truck came to a stop and the engine switched off, leaving the wolf's ears stinging with silence until the night creatures filled them again. A flappy, snappy, woolly, lovely bat flipped past overhead, and she glanced at it, then back at the truck. Movement at the barn, and she tensed, but it was long ears, warm, fluffy grass scented the donkey she'd smelled earlier. It ambled towards the truck and tossed its head, then gave a wordless bray. The truck's lights flicked twice. "And the connection is made," the donkey intoned. "Communication is established. Taken back to such simple basics, we question the need for words at all." The wolf blinked at the creature. There were many words there, but little communication as far as she could tell, but maybe her wolf self was getting in the way. The truck's lights flicked again. Ah, the endless question. Are we safe? But what is safe? How shall we define it? In what? The truck door swung open, unleashing a whiff of something that set the wolf's hackles back to full mast. Hard stone, stone belly, raw muscle, fist, fist, fist. A heavy form climbed down, clad in... The wolf couldn't find the words. Summer grass green with sunny splashes. "Hello, Dinky," the form said in a rumbling voice that made the wolf growl almost soundlessly. "Is safe?" "I am concerned that maybe I am a dinky," the donkey said, "and all my other conceptions of self are erroneous." The driver's door opened and another rocks and river voice said, "Is safe, Kent." The donkey hummed, and in the first crush smash break them all, Troll said, "Rav sends text before and says it's okay, they're looking out, and if no okay, he howls." Rav and they, which meant Gabe, her wolves were here, but with trolls. Why? The driver troll climbed down. "I hope Thayer's right." The green-clad troll nodded and said, "I too." There was a sudden tremble in her voice, and the wolf caught the scent of crushed purple sorrow and the orange scars of fear. She tipped her head, ears pricking. This was more than interesting. This was new. Comes on, the driver troll said, and walked around to the back of the truck. The wolf watched without seeing, her attention on her other senses as she strained for some sign of her wolves. What were they looking out for? What could possibly set that purple stain of fear blossoming in a fistfoot breaking the mountain's thunder-gripped troll? The clatter of hooves drew her back to the truck, followed by a shrill shout of, "How dare you treat us like common cattle! There were no windows. No one could see us. My mane has dust in it. Where are our grooms, our maidens, our champagne?" "Unicorns no drink champagne," the green-clad troll said reasonably, and the wolf sat straight up in the long grass, completely forgetting to hide. The donkey gave her a disinterested look, but she didn't notice. Unicorns. There were unicorns traipsing down a ramp out of the truck, their flanks painted silver in the moonlight, and their horns were trussed up in some sort of rubber, which was a good thing too, as one tried to stab the driver troll on its way down the ramp. The troll pushed it away with a grunt. "We damn well do drink champagne," one said, with gold bits in it. "And strawberries," a smaller one said. "I like strawberries." "Is winter," the green troll said. "Is no strawberries." "Then we need more champagne," the stabby one said. The wolf tipped her head again, blinking. Maybe they weren't unicorns. Maybe just rude horses with sticks on their heads. But they didn't smell of horses. They smelled of deep, distant secrets and wild, high hills and raging, casual violence. She whined softly, and this time noticed the donkey look at her. "Oh no! Oh help!" the donkey said in a bored voice. "Oh, witness the savage beast!" Both trolls froze. "Rav?" the green one asked cautiously, and the wolf rose to her feet, growling softly. Trolls and unicorns, unicorns and trolls. The concept rubbed against each other like unwelcome clothing on wild skin. They didn't fit. Her growl deepened, and she started to stalk forward, her head low. The trolls had captured the unicorns, and her wolves... Well, she didn't know, but the trolls had done something to them, and that was not to be tolerated. She would fix this. "Sit," the green troll said, and the wolf snarled. "Bad wolf?" "Poppy," the other troll said. The unicorns had halters around their necks, and he was holding 3 of them in one heavy hand and 2 in the other. "That is not friendly wolf." "No. Are you Dimly Wolf?" Poppy asked, addressing the question to the wolf, who didn't bother with another warning snarl. She charged. "Wolf!" The unicorns screamed in an ear-shattering chorus. "Kill a wolf!" They surged against the halters, and the driver troll tried to hold on, but the wolf launched herself at him, and he had to use both hands to fend off her snapping teeth. The unicorns tore the ropes out of his grip and charged for the field the wolf had just walked through, clearing the fence with fluid, luminous leaps. The wolf snapped at the troll a couple of times for good measure, then yelped as something grabbed her ear. She tried to twist away, but a heavy hand seized the back of her neck at the same time, and she was quite abruptly pinned to the ground. She snarled, struggling against the weight of the assault, her nose filled with the heavy, damp stone musk of troll. "Bad wolf," the troll said, and that purple fear rolled off her, confusing the wolf. The troll was scared, but her hold was fearless, and the connection missed, the same way they had with the combination of troll and unicorn. "Why you wants unicorns?" The wolf growled, threatening consequences for that relentless grip, and the driver troll yelled, "Rav! Rav!" The wolf twisted her head enough that she could see the other troll waving wildly and pointing at the unicorns as he lumbered after them, and there were her wolves flashing across the fields, one lean and pale as winter sun, and the other as barrel-chested and vast as the wares of myth. She gave one high yap, calling their attention to her, because then they could free her and save the unicorns, and both wolves stopped so hard that Rav, the big one, stumbled into a roll before he could recover. He popped up again, panting, and the pair exchanged glances. She reached out to them, feeling the hot current of their thoughts, the wolf communication that was as much in the twitch of the ear and the angle of the tail as it was in the scent and sound, and realized that it was she who was unexpected, and not just unexpected, unwelcome. "Please, the unicorns!" the green troll called Poppy shouted. "Please, someone sees! Please!" There was a raw horror washing over her, and the wolf tipped her head to look at the creature's face. Tears stood bright in her eyes. "Please!" The wolves were running again before the troll could even speak the last word, arrowing after the unicorns, and Poppy gave a little half-sob, her grip on the wolf slipping. The wolf jerked away with a snarl, and the troll let her go, wiping her 3 eyes with a big hand as she sat down heavily. "The endless confusion of existence, Poppy." the donkey asked, making the wolf jump. He was standing inadvisably close. I have wept for it myself. No, Poppy said. I cries because I thinks this wolf tells dimly about unicorns, and now they know safe. Again, she sniffled. And Jerry knows safe, and us know safe, and no one knows safe. That's a double negative. They're all negatives, Poppy half shouted, more tears tumbling down her cheeks, and the wolf decided to growl at the donkey. The troll's purple bruise of worry and hurt was crushing the night, and the weight of it was intolerable. The donkey flicked his long ears without much alarm, and she looked at the troll for a moment, then sighed and thought, change. The world shattered at the edges, collapsing to star-torn threads like the end of a supernova, then reformed again, knitting in from the edges, and Yasmin touched her ear gingerly. It felt bruised. Poppy stared up at her face still wet with tears that reflected the stars. All right? Yasmin asked. No, the troll said. They looked at each other for a long moment, then Yasmin said, I'm not a dimly wolf. Poppy didn't answer, but even in human form Yasmin could smell her distrust. She looked across the field. Excuse me. Oh, sneezing, excuse me. She looked across the field. The unicorns were running back, swearing impressively, with Rav and Gabe nipping at their heels. Filthy dogs, one shrieked. No damn respect. Take this bloody noodle off my horn and see how brave you are then. Yasmin looked back at the troll. They're my wolves, from my pack. I was worried about them. They is very good wolves, Poppy said. They helps me. Yasmin wrinkled her nose. She wasn't sure that very good wolves helped trolls, but these trolls were unusual. What are you doing with the unicorns? We hides them. Keeps them safe from nasty peoples who wants their horn. Yasmin considered it. Why? You could sell them? Trade them? Poppy got up. She was taller than Yasmin and much broader, but it was the fierceness in her three-eyed gaze that made the wearer take a step back. They is thinking creatures, Poppy said. You think someone should sell you? No, Yasmin said and inspected the troll. She could smell the deep, singing blue notes of sincerity. You're not even going to eat them, are you? We as vegetarians, the driver troll said, and Yasmin turned to see him watching the unicorns trotting toward the barn, Rav and Gabe still harrying them along. Is modern troll way. Yasmin looked from him to Poppy, her eyebrows raised. Poppy held out an enormous yellow cardigan she'd been wearing over her green overalls. Here, you is cold. I is confused, mostly, Yasmin said, but she took the cardigan and put it on. Ah, the donkey said, so you have experienced that existential horror. Yasmin looked at him, then at Poppy. What about him? Are you going to eat him? No, Poppy said. I thinks about it some days, the other troll said. I would too, the wolf said. They were silent for a moment, listening to the unicorn's tirades of abuse being muted by the barn doors and the clatter of heavy bars being pulled across them. Not long after, Rav and Gabe walked around the barn barefoot. Rav had pulled a pair of old grey joggers on, and Gabe was wearing ripped jeans, and they were both shirtless. Yasmin thought they looked like they were cosplaying movie wares, but why not? There was as much joy in that as in the running, and knowing oneself as two-natured, wolf and were. Well, she said to them. It was my fault, Rev said immediately. Poppy's a friend. I wanted to help her, and I dragged Gabe. You didn't drag me. I knew what I was doing. Gabe followed his arms over his chest, unfolded them, put his hands in his front pockets, then in his back ones, and looked at the ground. I should have stopped it. I know we're meant to be low profile at the moment. No, it was because of Gordy, my cat, Rev added to Yasmin. Poppy helped me with him because he's a bit old and he forgets he's not meant to speak to just anyone and swears at the vet, and besides all the dogs freak out when I go into the clinic, so I can't really, and Poppy, I asks for help, Poppy said, because I need someone I trust to make sure unicorns are safe. Rav and Gabe are good wolves. You no punish them. It's my fault. Yasmin looked from the two wares to the trolls and back again, then shrugged. Sure. What? Gabe looked like he expected to change and go for his throat at any moment. She looked back at Poppy. You're strange, she said, but there's nothing on you except bright rivers, living fields, wide skies, blooming trees, full heart, pack. It was as close as she could come to explaining the raw, wild love for the world and the creatures in it. Her love for her own wolf seemed pale in comparison, limited. She looked at Rav and Gabe. Just be careful. We can't afford any missteps. Things are brewing in dimly, everywhere, but the core of it is there. Stay out of it. We will, Gabe said, and Rav gave a small nod that Yasmin knew wasn't quite in agreement. She took off the cardigan and gave it back to Poppy. "Keep your unicorns safe," she said, "and yourselves." "We tries," Poppy said, "but maybe no is possible now." "Maybe," Yasmin said, and for one moment considered giving her number to the troll, casting her lot in with her. But there was the pack to think of. The pack always came first, and keeping them safe was paramount. So she dropped to the ground, her body tearing and rebuilding in exquisite, endless agony, and a moment later she was running across the field with the starlight like ice on her fur, still smelling the tart electric scent of the unicorns on the grasses. She should have offered help. She couldn't offer help. She had a pack now, and the pack came first, for as long as such things could last. The end. Okay, so that is a little wee short story. Actually, I'm going to share it with you in print so that you can download it to your ebook and that kind of thing. But I don't have a title for it yet. So if you have any suggestions for titles, pop them in the comments, and I'll get it all made up so that you can download it and read it, and it will make much more sense than me reading it aloud because, yeah, my reading aloud skills are not great. I'm definitely not a voice artist. Okay, so yes. Collision of Catastrophes is coming out on Friday, so I'm going to do another Q&A in the Facebook group because for some reason you seem to want to listen to me talk. I don't know why, because I really am not that coherent. That's probably the amusement factor. So if you would like to join us, it's 7 p.m. on Friday. It's all the details will be, I'll put a link below. If you're on the blog, if you're on social media, you'll probably already seen the post up. It'll be pinned to the page and pinned in the group. You don't have to be a member of the group to join in, and there will be a replay. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments of the blog, pop them below this post, or pop them in the event thing, and that way I've got a whole list of questions I can talk about when we get started on Friday, and I would love to see you there. Yes, so there we go, titles and questions for the Q&A, and I shall get this, once we have a title for this, I shall get it all ready for you to download, and I shall share that with you then. Until then, lovely people, thank you so much for listening and putting up with my terrible reading aloud skills. This is why I write rather than speak. And I shall see you on Friday. Look after yourselves.